9:31. The town of Smoky Lake respectfully acknowledges that we are situated on Treaty 6 territory, the traditional lands of First Nations and Métis people. And we'll start with the agenda. Are there any additions or discussions? You all have some.
I'd like to make two additions for council consideration. Just wondering if it's appropriate for admin at this time to bring forward a 2025 capital update. I know we've had some items purchased. If we can get it, just maybe a recap on that, if it's not too much work. And then the second thing, just wondering, STARS donation request. And that could go under last minute items maybe, or wherever you think it should go. If there's no other additions, I can, I'm just gonna move, but.
I have one, and that is for supportive living center visit on April 29th.
Where would you like that added? Sorry, or what?
Okay, and the reason why I'm adding it here is because it's taking place before the next council meeting, so that's why we could discuss it today.
Do you mind just repeating it? That's fine.
Yeah, supportive living center visit.
Maria, what does that mean? What are you referring to, the supportive living?
So it has to do with the county council have been invited to a supportive living visit. And I'm going to ask if we could actually go with them.
To the Barbie Nook? Or?
No, not to the Barbie Nook, to the one that's in, the one that they're the one that they're building here. They're going to go see what it's being modeled after. Like there's already a supportive living facility that's already up and running, that the one here near Métis Crossing modeled after.
Simply just asking where is it?
I believe it's Red Deer.
Oh,
okay. I'm drawing a blank right now. I know it's like south of Edmonton. Yeah.
Okay, sorry.
Joining the county on a road trip to this supportive living center.
Marianne, at this time, I'd like to move to accept the agenda with the following additions. 2025 capital budget update on purchases, STARS donation request, and supportive living road trip, field visit.
All in favor? No, those are carried. All right, we'll move on to 3.1, 2025 operating budget. So I see you highlighted the changes that you've made.
Yeah, I did the RFD with the background, being the changes from the last meeting in February. I don't know, is there any questions on that?
No.
You don't mind, let's go through them.
Yeah.
Okay, so at the previous budget meeting, there was a proposal to increase the taxes 4% to cover the costs for 2025, and these were lowered as per council's request to 2%. So the municipal tax was decreased from 4 to 2. We removed the municipal intern expenses. We added $35,000 to support the CAO recruitment costs, amended the Education and Smoky Lake Foundation requisitions to actuals. The education requisition is increasing by 13% this year, as per the provincial government's budget. And the Smoky Lake Foundation requisition has actually decreased by $82. I adjusted the insurance premiums because we just received the invoice. adjusted FCSS and FRN budgets, moved a portion of the sewer budget to the water budget for water break repairs. Decrease the new water reservoir debenture to one payment. As I mentioned before, the interest rates are supposed to be lowered in the spring, so I'm hoping that will happen and apply for the debenture at that time. Decrease the grants to individuals and organizations budget to 10,000 as per council's request. Increase the EV charger maintenance budget due to some recent repairs. And upkeep. Adjusted waste collection contract fee as per actuals to increase the 1.5%. Adjusted regional water purchased as per actuals. Administration is satisfied with the budget and is asking for council's approval. Also, I included the 2024. Also included are the assessments and the 2024 budget to actual unaudited. And I included the 2025 budget line by line for you. Yeah.
Well, I've got a question about the FCSS and FRN adjustment. What is that adjustment?
Rochelle kind of went through her budgets. Or her Rochelle question. It's basically the same as 2024. You know, it does show higher for FCSS, but that's it. Included the community food basket of $6,000. That's an in and an out, so the revenue shows 6,000, right? That's,
Oh, okay, yeah, that helps.
so that's also included, yeah. So other than that, everything looks good for FCSS. She just basically went through her budgets and cleaned them up too for 2025.
So what are the numbers that you adjusted with them? Like
Well, I'm
you
just,
said you adjusted, so numbers wise that,
well, for 2025, Rochelle went through the FCSS and FRN budgets, expenses. And she adjusted it accordingly to her programs and events. I'm just saying, commenting on the 2025 budget for FCSS, it's higher due to the $6,000 community food basket that's in there. So it's, as you can see, the 2024 budget is roughly $70,000. So we exclude that $6,000 community food basket out of the 2025 budget. It's the same. She would have a better explanation if you want to bring. You want her to bring that back.
Well, for me, the $6,000 made a big difference
Yeah.
for my question, so that helped. Thank you, that cleared up what I was concerned about anyways. Evelyn?
so the education requisition, other municipalities are all meeting, having about, I watch other councils, and they've actually gone into closed session to discuss how much this impacts their budget. And we did, it is a significant increase. It's usually about 3%, and they've hit us in a year when we have police and we also have our regionalization of fire. So to me, that's really a big deal. Did you, do you want to speak to that? Do you want to speak to that at all? Because I'm finding that other council, we even discussed it at the Spring Leaders Caucus as well. It was an item that was discussed. So here I see it, we're not gonna have much of a discussion then about it? Because that really does impact our budget.
It does.
So I don't think that we can lower our taxes from 2%. down from 4% to 2% when we've got regionalization of fire, education, and also we're coming to the end of our contract with police. And that's another thing that municipalities are talking about. And we haven't really discussed as well, but we're about to get walloped with these three things in the next year.
The provincial government tells us the requisitions that we have to pay, and we have to unfortunately add it in our budget at this point. Moving forward, maybe there's something we can look into, what other municipalities are doing, lobbying against the government.
The other disappointing thing is we find out, right, like so late, what it's actually gonna be, so it's something we have to deal with, but it's so unfortunate because you expect it, like you said, in the past, it's been a lot lower. This is like a huge ding last minute for us to try and figure out a budget and work around it, right, without having to lay it on the ratepayers so heavy, you know? So we have no choice, obviously, it's unfortunate, and I'm not really sure what we can do about it, except for try our best to make cuts in other places where we can, but it's so sad and disappointing, because it does in reality come out of what we do for our community and what your level of service is. It affects everything, but it gets downloaded onto us, and it's so terrible, but I really, like, I get it, I get it, like, it's important and I get it. It just, for me, the disappointing part is like to not know until so late, right? And have no way of projecting, because I wouldn't have projected this, like, that it was gonna be 13%. So you have no way of knowing, and so you kind of reevaluate your, as best you can. I think administration did a good job in finding some significant cuts that helped with that 13%, finding it in the budget for sure, so. Yeah, it's shocking, and I just don't know what else to do with municipal, it gets downloaded onto us.
So, and thank you, I agree with what's been said. It's going to be difficult to figure out where those cuts are coming from, as you mentioned, Mel. And so I'm not sure if it's the best question to ask our admin at this time, but do you, your recommendation is that you're quite satisfied with what you've produced, and I'm just wondering, is there any opportunity to trim in the expenses? So we know we have our revenue, and it's determined by our taxes and what we have for revenue, but so when we look at the expenses, is there any opportunity to trim that, like go back and look at another 2%?
Crystal? The municipal tax portion was decreased 2%, so it is at 2%. If I decrease it another 2%, then there'd be no tax increase. So I would have to just take more away.
Just for clarity, just the expense part of the budget. The expenses, is there an
It's already
opportunity?
very trimmed, I would say.
Okay,
I could. If that's council's wish, then I would have to get direction on where to cut.
Okay.
Yeah.
Mel, you have a comment?
It's okay, she answered it.
okay. So, yeah, if I may, so then we as council have a responsibility for this budget to approve it. And I'm comfortable with looking at some of the numbers that we could, if we went line by line and looked at our expenses. I'm just not sure how we're gonna afford the things with, for example, the increase to the fire and the education tax, and it's putting us in a position where we're gonna have to go line by line and look at each GL and what we're doing, because I feel that our last motion was to bring back some options. And thank you, administration, you've done an excellent job. But overall, we haven't trimmed it to 2%. If we came in previously with the the number was 4,386,000, and now it's only a trimming of, our last meeting showed that we came in at 4,000, or sorry, 4 million.
4,300,86.
Yeah, that's where
Where we were, and they trimmed it to 4,369,000.
yeah, so that's $16,000. And yet we had some increases, so,
Yeah, no, Crystal, sorry.
So when council says to trim the budget 2%, it's the municipal tax portion. So the municipal tax is trimmed 2%. So if you look at last 2024 municipal tax to 2025, it's increased 2%.
and you've done a wonderful job of doing that. I just think we have to look at the expenses. That's our responsibility.
Is there anywhere that you were suggesting to make changes in?
Well, I'm just 1 of 4, so I think it should be what we agree upon, so. I don't know what we can afford right now, so I would suggest maybe going through it, or I can look at your recommendations on page 3 and I can ask, if I may ask a couple questions. So you added the $35,000 to support CAO recruitment. Did you add it to the council expenses?
Yeah, that's where it went, yeah.
So that's a council expense, not an admin expense?
This is where it has been budgeted previously. It's council is the one that hires a recruiter to hire their employee. So that's just where when it could go in administrative. It's just a department issue if that's what you want to put it in. At the end of the day, it doesn't
It
Doesn't change anything?
It's in, it's still an expense.
It does matter what.
I wasn't,
Well, I'm saying within the two, it's, and we don't have to use it all, it's just that budgeted for it.
okay, so we had the motion to hire a contract CAO, not a recruiter, for 35,000.
Just the label, it's for recruitment. Evelyn?
If we do what we say that we're going to do, this should appear on the next budget, on the 2026 budget, because this is the year where we're hiring a contract CAO. And it won't be until January or February of 2026 that the next council will be doing the recruitment. That's what we discussed.
Crystal?
I hear what you're saying, but also the election is what, October 20? If new council wants to start November 1st on recruitment, they could start November, December. I don't know what's the plan is moving forward. This money could go towards a contractor as well. I can take it out, I guess. I was assuming we were going to use it this year to start the recruiting process. It's hard to know what the new council will want to do moving forward. If they want to begin right away, they are more than welcome to, but. And this money can always be carried forward to 2026.
No.
Yeah. It's hard to predict. It's I think it's possible for it to remain in there in case there is expenses. And if not, then carry it forward for sure. Cause I think, you know, there might be something at the beginning of the process, a cost. I don't know if it'll be that much, but at least it's.
Evelyn?
I also find the promotions budget really quite significantly high, and that's actually why I asked for the previous numbers, because it has really significantly jumped in the last few years under our watch. So I really actually would like to I would actually like to learn a little bit more about everything that's included under that budget, because I see that is where we can probably make a significant cut, because under our watch, it's gone up exponentially. So I'd like to understand why there's so much, why that looks pretty, that's a pretty healthy budget line
So,
and promotions.
as you recall, in 2023, we had the birthdays, so the 100th birthday, I believe, would have been in 2023, but yeah, I noticed that too. It's a little over 25,000, and I just don't know how we can afford that. So I think there's some trimming opportunities there.
Um,
Would it be best just to get a detailed breakdown, or?
we can do that. Just quickly let you know, so flagpole accessories were put in there last year. The 2024 road trip adventure day with Go East was put in there. The team building, $3,000, that was budgeted, approved budget last year was in here. The volunteer appreciation. Yep.
I thought you guys were looking for the information.
Yeah, and I want it to be shown to me, not told to me. I really hate doing budgets where it's just like, I would like it to be shown. So I'm actually asking it for this information to come back to the next budget meeting rather than, this is an area that I would really like council to take a look at in more detail.
I would suggest then that we have an outline of what needs to be brought back, because this can't continue. And you've had a lot of time to provide what you guys would really like. This is not our first meeting, and I'm not thrilled. So if you could please lay out what you'd like to see and have presented, and then we will make a decision. So please provide that to Crystal in the administration. Thank you. Evelyn?
I just said so. I would like to see the numbers come back and I'd like to physically
Okay,
look
you
at
guys
the
are giving
numbers rather
one
than
thing
verbally look
at
at
a
the numbers
time.
for that line.
No.
Okay. Then, yeah, let's go through. So we want, like, let's make today's budget meeting, like, let's go through and what we need extra time stuff for, so. So the promotion, what's all what's the total GL called, sorry?
Promotional
It
and
does
public relations.
public relations.
Yeah.
Marianne? Thank you, Mel. I don't wanna say the wrong thing, Amy, so I just wanted to be in agreement. Is this okay to do this like this, or what were your thoughts?
Crystal?
Okay. I can tell you basically what goes into this budget, like fall decorating a site, for example. If we don't want to do that anymore, then we can take that out. There's certain promotional items we get for silent auctions. If you want to decrease that, like those are the things that we can look at. I can bring forward the entire budget. And then,
No.
Is this an easy thing to provide that we could go through today? Like, is that like?
I won't have specific numbers for each event or what we spent money on. If that's what you're looking at that, then I have to bring that
Okay.
back, but I can
Okay.
tell you a general idea of what goes into this budget, and if you want to pull back on certain things, then we can definitely work with that.
I'd like to make a motion to call a 5-minute recess, please.
What time should make it a motion, let's call it.
Or you can just, oh, we haven't put on it, yeah, or you can just call it recess.
Recess. Right, we'll call the meeting back to order at 9:59. No,
Would it be, do you guys want to go line by line and go into a closed session to get our, as many answers as we can hammered out?
Ellen?
I would like to go line by line, have it explained, but I don't believe that we should go into closed session. Because according to the MGA, we're supposed to be doing everything in open.
Crystal, do you feel that there's anything that might not be appropriate to show?
I think so.
Okay.
It had,
Evan?
the only time that we go into closed session is when it has to do more with someone's personal salaries. We can actually even discuss salaries. We can discuss salary ranges in open session as well too. The only time you go into closed session is when it has to do with someone personally. Otherwise, everything else can be discussed or should be discussed.
Thank you
Openly.
for the clarity.
Wait, can, sorry,
No?
does administration need a couple minutes? She can- Okay.
Amy, would it be just a suggestion, just to table this to the end of the meeting and if Public Works is here just to do the capital and get that done? Time wise or?
We can. So we'll maybe move to capital then. Just to allow John to. Okay, so we'll jump to 3.3. Correct? No, 3.2, right? Update on 2024 capital budget projects.
3.3, do you not need to make a motion first to table it? You need to, because if we table it, it means that we're gonna come back to it in the meeting, correct? So I'll make that motion to table the draft, what's it called? 2025 operating budget until the end of the meeting.
Does that have to be at the end or just like after we're done with capital budget, right? Like we'll just come back after capital budget because the rest are. Can I make that amendment?
You can make that friendly amendment, yes.
All in favor? Voice will carry. Okay, 3.3. Two first? Okay.
In 3.3 was John.
Oh, sorry, yeah, that's what I thought.
I'm just
There is
confused.
an update.
I'm
though.
confused here, everybody. Sorry.
Sorry. So we've approved the 695,000, correct?
Yeah.
So just remaining is the where is that number? I seen it earlier.
85.
Right.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, right there, above it. Okay. Are there any questions regarding the last?
So are we on the update on the 2024 capital projects? Isn't that the next on the agenda?
3.3, we're gonna start at the budget for 2025. So we've pre-approved the 695,000 and the remaining is 185,500. No, we had to move it.
Yeah,
I just had a couple questions, roads and sidewalks in the 20,000, the number 20,500. Sidewalk repairs, I know we've been putting in that annually for the grinding and like not really replacement.
My plans to do more this year versus the grinding they've done.
Okay.
Well, I believe the whole town knows. But then the concrete will shift over the years, but I think we've done enough grinding for a couple of years now to focus more on replacements.
Well, which is perfect, because I was gonna say, I'm not sure where you're gonna grind for $20,000, but I guess my question is there an area that you had in mind for the sidewalk replacement?
Not a specific area in mind, it'd be more of the problem areas, like example downtown here by Maple Garden. Like it's gonna be more the focusing on the worst ones first, and then it's not specifically for an area.
Okay, so yeah, just kind of every year putting a little bit towards keeping it maintained from now on.
Marianne? Thank you, John, for preparing this, and just a question on top of page 32. Have you had any quotes for the drop-in center, the siding and the crawl space?
I have not yet. I think there was some quotes from the previous administration. Or I believe it was actually in the NPE study, and I believe that they adjusted that for inflation. That's what I think.
Ella?
So MPE actually gave numbers in there. Is that what you're, when you say previous administration, do you mean previous to you or previous?
Previous to myself, I'd have to bring that information back to be sure.
Marianne?
If I may, I don't think you have to bring it back. I just think, I think the study you're referring to, as matter of fact, I just looked at it. It was the one where it was the municipal buildings. And so they just identified that there was some priority work that needed to be done. But I think to save a lot of time, maybe just get the drop-in center to do the quotes. Or you're quite comfortable with these numbers. Is that what you're saying, or?
I'm pretty confident with those numbers.
So I think we're close to approving this, but I just wanted to say, you made mention of the MPE, the study. Previous meetings, we spoke as a council that admin was going to ask them to come as a delegation, or we might have some funding to upgrade the previous study with outlining the 19 projects. I just wonder if administration is close to having something in front of us, or
Mel?
They did bring back the update, but I think, if I'm not mistaken, I think they said that they'd be coming to do an update on the reservoir and talk at that time. I thought that's what the conversation went, but it could be wrong. That was a while ago. I think they sent out an invite and I thought he was gonna come and do an update and then,
I remember them mentioning
yeah.
At the same time, so that
Yeah.
it wasn't coming for two separate things. I thought that's what it was.
We can get administration to just confirm that. That's what I remember being told to us.
the cost?
Oh, he brought back the update already of the numbers with inflation. Already, but he hasn't come to speak on it yet. Excuse me. Sorry. Okay.
You know
So the one thing I thought that we agreed on at the one last meeting is that we're gonna remove lot 37, the infrastructure work for that. So do you need a motion for that, or is this good enough to say this out loud, that we're gonna remove that from the capital budget, the draft?
Crystal?
Was the intention to move it to 2026?
With the intention of moving it to 2026. Was that?
A motion would be nice too.
Okay.
Yep.
So I'll make that motion that Town of Smoky Lake defer the lot 37 infrastructure work to the 2026 capital budget. No,
I just have a quick question. We didn't make a motion about that already?
it was defeated, because you put it on you made a motion to approve.
I thought we moved it.
No,
Oh, I
Would
made
you
the
like me to
motion.
reread it?
No, I got it now. I made the motion to
You
approve
put
the
it-
budget and
I
included
did the
that.
same thing.
Yeah,
I was looking
thank
at
you.
this and I was confused, and I went back to the minutes and realized you tag teamed it with
Yeah.
us, so it got defeated, so that's why.
It never happened.
We're taking baby steps here with the budget now, so I'd like to make that motion so that we get that over and done with, because that at least is something that we agreed on.
Sorry, yeah, you can call the question now.
Okay.
I'm clear now.
All in favor? None opposed, so carried.
So I went down the rabbit hole, looking at this over the weekend. One of the reasons why I was really confused with the capital budget is because the previous council in 2021 passed a 3-year capital budget and then this is in regard to the meters, the gas and water meters. So as a new counselor, I came in and that was on the budget, that it was for $50,000 a year for 3 years. And the explanation was given then about meters. And then the following year, we learned that, and then it was even given a quote that it was supposed to cover for 90 meters out of 500 plus meters. Then the next year we learned that it didn't get done and it was blamed on COVID and so on. So now it's been deferred. So that's what was getting me confused about this capital budget, is because now when I read, we still have been earmarking $50,000 right into 2026. And then when I looked at the numbers again, we only spent $15,000 last year. So this is a project, so that's what I do want to have a discussion about with this capital budget, which was confusing me because we haven't been doing this, is what it looks like. So I just wanted to get it was 50,000, and then it came back at the last meeting that we're going to decrease it from 50,000 to 40,000. But I'm confused as why we're decreasing it to $40,000 when it doesn't look like we have spent the original 150,000. So this was a project that should have been done by now, that shouldn't even be on our capital budget.
Can I speak to that? So normally the biggest expense with the gas meters is when we send the old ones in and they rebuild them.
Mhm.
The ones from last year, we haven't used all of the new meters that we had last year. So we're finishing installing all of those. And then we'll be sending those in probably this spring. The winter isn't usually the ideal time to change gas meters. We've done them here and there. But we've had other work that has been prioritized. I know we don't have a lot of them left to a lot of the new ones. So once we go through those, we'll send them in to get rebuilt.
No,
Does that make sense?
So just to recap that, the most expensive part is to send them in to rebuild, and we haven't done that yet, so it's gonna be more expensive because you're changing them, but then you're gonna send them away to get rebuilt, and that'll be the costly part. So sometimes it doesn't happen in the year, even though we budget for it, because the costly part is
Yeah, the-
when you send
The
them.
expenses after they get changed out
Okay.
and we send them in to get rebuilt.
and wasn't there a delay because there wasn't parts for them, like they couldn't?
Well, I have one more
Yeah,
thing,
no.
and I think what Councillor Copes was referring to was the year that nothing got. Yeah, that nothing got done, and then the gas audit came in, and that's when we were got notified it wasn't done. So, but you guys have been
We've been
Yeah.
slowly changing meters.
Yeah. awesome.
There's a lot to go through.
Evelyn?
So is there because we have not had a report come back, which at least and unless I'm wrong, and if I'm wrong, then it means I don't remember it. But again, the first report we got was actually very clear that there was 90 meters that had to be changed in that year. So is it 90 the next year as prices gone up and now we've only changed 60? And then you also wrote how a new meter is good for 10 years, but then it refurbished the second year, it's good for 7, and then it's good for 5. So it sounds like, again, where are we at on this? Because
I could bring that information back later.
and then I guess in a way what I'm seeing is, it doesn't seem to me that we've seen a plan for this as well too. We've had 2 years under my watch. That's what I'm frustrated by, is that I realize that I'm on this council, I'm responsible, and it hasn't been done. So this is why I'd like to see I would like our council to set up the next council to make sure that this project gets done. Because it should have been done by this year, it sounds like for legitimate reasons. But again, I wanna make sure that, how many of these meters are already outdated? Like, have we been at least on top of that somebody doesn't have an expired meter on their home? Do we know that?
No.
How was our audit? I guess is a fair question, right? We have somebody who oversees this.
Well, Tamara has that information on her computer.
But you guys are working towards any deficiencies that were on it? I'm
Yeah,
assuming?
we've addressed the deficiencies that were from the meters. It's an ongoing project to replace all the meters. Takes a lot of time.
I thought we saw that audit. Like, I thought we approved, like, seen it in our agenda. Right? So, yeah, we have to sign up, yeah. No?
Yeah, I was just curious about the deficiencies, so that's what my question, I guess, was. We've seen it, but I wanted to make sure the deficiencies were.
No?
So to clarify, the capital budget numbers. As long as we are spending the money, changing them, like this is acceptable.
Yes,
Like Evelyn said, we want to make sure, or Councilor Cope says that we want to make sure like that we're doing our part to make sure to set the next council up for success, and you guys,
and
so.
changing meters is going to be an ongoing
Mhm.
project. So, especially with the different timelines of a new meter versus a rebuilt meter. Like, it's not gonna line up, so you can do it in 2 years and then be fully caught up, and wait 8 years and then do another strategy towards it. So I think it's gonna be more of an ongoing project.
Well, sorry, I have one more question. So, not trying to micromanage in any way, but you have a schedule then, right? With these new change outs and the refurbish, you guys track that, so you know when
We have
they're.
that information, I just don't,
That's,
that's.
no, I don't need it. I don't need the information. You have it. That's all that I was checking on.
No?
Okay, so we made that motion to remove that post at 37,000?
Yeah, it's in the bottom there.
Oh, sorry.
If you go in the water gas, it doesn't give the exact number though. Maria closed on the thing. Or sorry,
So
water.
the replace CCs is 30,000, so that'll be from 55,000 to 30,000.
Okay,
Which brings the grand total to 160,500.
Evelyn?
I just have one more last question about the gas and water meter replacement, because we were back on February 24th, the motion was following time sensitive items, and we approved 695,000. And they were for the gas and water meter replacement. So what's been done since February for the gas and water meters?
I'm going to be purchasing more water meters for this year. We're down to, I think, 2 or 3, so I'll be ordering more of those. And the gas meters, I'd have to check. Our gas specialist deals with more of the meter changes, so I can check in with what supply we're at for that.
And I have one last question, and that is, which grant is it that we're applying for the rooftop furnace replacement for the town? What grant is that?
I'll have to find out from previous administration.
And so you're not sure the name of it, or if we've applied for it yet?
I wasn't involved in the capital budget. What went into it, I'll have to find out.
No.
And just for clarity, that one, is that the one that's
I think it's the same as this.
not going ahead though, if it's not done, if we don't get the grant, right? Okay, I just wanted to clarify. I'm pretty sure that's what was explained
I'll
to
have
us.
to find out.
The efficiency.
Well, it won't be in the budget if we don't get the
Yeah.
grant, so
Yeah.
it won't go ahead anyways.
Evelyn?
And for clarification, the 72,000 that you're proposing for the local improvement tax, that's for the 53 Avenue asphalt road repair? So we're getting $72,000 for a future local improvement bylaw and tax.
That was the estimate that administration put in.
So that's why I'm asking. That's all 72,000 is tied to that 53
Yeah.
Avenue asphalt.
Absolutely.
No?
Any other questions about, if not, I would be willing to make the motion, the town of Smoky Lake approve the remaining 2025 capital budget in the amount of 160,500 for 2025 capital projects as presented and attached to and forming part of the minutes. And the 5-year estimated capital budget financial plan for 2025 to 2029 to comply with the Municipal Government Act, section 283.1. And 3 requires plans as presented.
Any further discussion, questions? Not, all in favor? Anyone opposed, so carried.
I'd like to make a subsequent motion. I'd like to move that the town of Smoky Lake bring back for information all previous capital budget motions since 2021.
You want the motions or the approved capital?
The approved like where we've approved capital budgets, all the motions since the last 2021, so that would be the previous council.
No, okay.
I'm just wondering when you want it.
Dates
No, when, sorry, what to when?
and for a future, to
Oh.
a future meeting. Thank you for catching that. You're right, to a future meeting.
All in favor? Any opposed? And carried. Okay, we will move up to the update. Is this not similar to what you were asking for, Evelyn, the 5.1? 2025 update, or can that update on the 2024 capital projects?
So I just put this together for information. I believe it was asked at the last meeting, budget meeting, to see where we're at with our grant funding. So on page 30, you'll see our Canada Community Building Fund. Basically, these look like an SFE, so a statement of financial expenditure. So at the end of the year, once the grants projects are done, then you record the expenditures to the government. And this is kind of how it's laid out. So that's kind of how I did it. So it's for the CCBF, MSI, which is coming to a close, and the LGFF. So on the top is 2024. On the bottom, it says total available for future years, less projects expenditures and projects approved. So on the bottom, for the 2025 grant funds available, it shows for 2024, 508,411.69 is what we have left at the end of the day for 2024 to spend. And then for 2025, the LGFF funding is at $341,231. CCBF has not confirmed our 2025 capital yet, so I estimated from 2024. So that's a total grant funds available for $960,862. Just an update.
Questions? Someone make the motion to accept information? Well,
There's no discussion. I can make the motion to accept for information the update on the capital budget year-to-date report as of December 31st, 2024, and the grant funding available for future years for the Municipal Sustainable Initiative Grant, Local Government Fiscal Framework Grant, and the Canadian Community Building Fund Grant.
all in favor? Votes so carried. Can we move to 5.1 for the 2025 capital budget update? That's requested so that John can answer the questions or. And then continue with the rest.
Some equipment purchases since the last meeting. We have purchased a replacement pickup truck, a boom magnet to replace the bucket truck. And we've purchased a skid steer to replace our older skid steer. Replaced one leaking CC valve here. The other larger projects are in motion. No expenses have been put towards the other larger projects. It'd be paving and such like that. The projects are in motion. Any questions?
Anyone?
I'd like to make a motion that the Town of Smoky Lake Council accept the verbal update for the 2025 capital budget projects as presented by Public Works foreman, John Robinson, manager, sorry, John Robinson. Thank you very much.
Mel?
I just had one quick question or comment for Crystal, actually. When the paving, forgive me if I forgot, when they come back, so the tender will go out, and does that come back here? Over. It's been a while.
I believe it does, yeah, with the administration puts the rating
Mhm.
criteria, does the rating criteria, and then it's, yeah, it's
And then the bids come
it's
back.
been a while.
Thanks for
Yeah.
reminding me how that worked.
All in favor of Mary Ann's motion? Thank you, John.
I'd like to make a subsequent
Carrie.
motion. Sorry about that, sorry, I didn't wait for the carry. I'd like to make a and that is, can we please add capital projects update as a, to our quarterly reports? We should be receiving this on a quarter, same thing with the other reports, we should be receiving capital.
Crystal?
I do capital project update on my order reports.
Not, it hasn't been consistent, I've gone through them, that's why I'm asking to make sure, if we pass a motion, then the motion has to be followed, that it's on a quarterly basis.
Crystal?
Can you let me know when I didn't put it on there?
Yeah, I can.
Cause I know the reserves report I didn't. 1 year or 1 month because, or 1 quarter because there was no change, so I didn't, but the capital is usually updated. Okay, thank you.
No.
No, I'm good, change my mind.
So I've made a motion.
But if the motion, if that's already happening, can it be redone? Like that's all I'm curious. No?
That's actually what I was gonna say, and then I pulled my hand down, because technically, just because Crystal does it, doesn't mean, pardon me, that it's a required thing, she does it, but if we have a motion, then it's a motion. So then it'll continue,
All right,
so I think it's a fair
is that a
thing.
motion?
Yeah.
All right, all in favor? None opposed, so carried. All right. Okay, so we can continue on, or we can go back to the operating. Yeah, I
That's
think
what the
so.
motion said.
Okay. Okay, I'll call a 2-minute break at 10:31. And John, I think I'm gonna call the meeting back to order at 10:36. And we will move back to the 2025 operating budget. 3.1. Okay, so. Start with going through the GO. With the motions, I think it's, and public relations.
Even though there was a lot of promotional items ordered due to the new logos, I don't foresee there being many promotional items. Purchase this year. Again, the grade is in here.
Oh, sorry, no.
That's okay. So the gift baskets, those are in and outs. Because is that Dr. Recruitment? Sorry, I flipped over and I'm on page 2 of 3. It's $200, so I'm assuming it was the gift back. No, different? Right?
Could have been like Meyer, like.
Oh, the garbage.
Some of the, I remember that was one.
That's, yeah.
Okay.
Or chair. Type
Yeah,
of things going this. Okay.
Well,
So yeah, there's quite a bit of promotional on here, so, but you don't foresee that, do you happen to know off the top of your head, what an average year would be? I know we did have the logo change,
5,000.
that it is average about that. This one,
Or less.
yeah, okay,
It depends how much we have from previous years. I know we do still have some items with the old logo that we wanna. We don't foresee anything big. with promotional items. It's hard when you get a new logo and then you have to place a lot of things. Not the case this year.
I have a question.
oh, Evan, sorry.
So when I see cake for Dawn, cake for Rochelle, cake for Barb, should it not say what event that it's for instead of the person's name?
Sometimes the descriptions are,
Because this makes it look like it doesn't describe it properly, unless it is describing it properly.
it has at the same time period as the volunteer appreciation or volunteer appreciation. I can look back and make sure. I know our descriptions are not very. But sometimes.
Marianne?
I'm gonna suggest that administration doesn't have to look back. I think they've provided us a printout and identified as council, we've decided or identified an opportunity to maybe trim. And I think that's sufficient. I don't want to get operational on this. I want to move forward and look at how we can best have the best budget for operations and maintenance for the town. I'd like to move on, if that's okay, to another question.
just before we move on, so, okay, actually, no, I'm good, I can work it out in my own head, yeah.
Okay, so I think we're settled that if the administration came back in a range of 5,000 to 7,000 for that GL, we would be quite comfortable, or is that what I heard, or? I still said 5,000, is that right?
Sorry, I asked that, I asked her how much, the question was, what, I was looking at the lines on here and what do we normally spend in a year would be 5,000 and what did we spend this year?
10.
So, yeah, cutting by 5.
We spent 25,000.
But the promotional items were high.
Sorry.
It was a
I thought-
specific question, sorry, it was for strictly the promotions is what she was saying, the 5.
the promotional items. So
Yeah,
So
so that would be cutting it by $5,000 if on an average year, we don't spend that much, we could potentially remove a little bit there. That seems. I'm good.
Evelyn?
So this is where I ask the question, do we need to have a policy on promotional items? Because, hear me out, I was just at an event on the weekend and I see that our promotional items get, almost every event that I go to, our promotional items get the lowest bids, like it gets minimum bid. And I see a hat, I see oven mitts, I see other. And I'm not so sure that as a small municipality that we have the funds to do this. Also, when I've been to other events in which have had in larger municipalities, what they do is that they actually supply something from their community. So it's not instead of oven mitts with Smoky Lake on it or with their municipality on it, they'll have just perhaps like a baseball cap, but everything else is actually a gift basket of items from this. So I wonder if we can kind of find a right balance here too. Maybe this is where it comes into policy to guide more of this. Because personally, I would really like our promotions budget to be cut when it comes to putting Smoky Lake. Like and I see one here for promotional jackets, like are we selling them? We're giving them, what's the promotional jackets?
I believe we ordered them. For promotion, like for silent auction items.
So like,
And I do know, sorry. We did order coats for staff, but we had to pay. I think we got one promotional item for the staff members, and then if you wanted more, then we did pay, because I bought 2 extra hoodies, and then the coat was a little bit more, so then we was paid the difference, like the cost, I should say, for staff with the new logo. It was for conferences. Or that was the idea for the coat, the jackets. And if you wanted anything extra, we had to pay, so staff does pay for anything extra, but it was the new logo for the conferences. For the jackets, and I don't know if council come.
I think we had the option, right?
I can't remember. I have to look back for sure.
When it comes to items. When it comes to items for staff, like staff Christmas party tickets and staff gift cards for Christmas and promotional jackets, should that really be coming like out of promotional? Because that's more of an admin for, that should be a separate GL for staff, should it not? It's coming under, promotions to me means when we're promoting our community, and I don't. And I see Christmas tickets on here and gift cards and jackets. So.
So again, and I don't want to be disrespectful to Evelyn, but I don't think our role is to discuss this. I think our role is to say to admin, please bring back a budget that reflects a trimming to this GL by a certain percentage, I think, if council's in agreement.
Do you have a dollar amount so we can narrow it right down?
Well,
I think I'm comfortable with the $5,000 amount, because it kind of justified why we had increased it. And now I think we should go back to trim it up a bit. So, and if you guys are, the $5,000 would be.
yeah,
Anything about that?
I would support a higher number than 5,000. I would like to see the GL is budgeted for $25,000. I don't know if we can afford that. And I don't think we have any events like the 100th birthday or anything like that. So I'd like to see maybe the GL cut in half to maybe 12,500. And that reflects an average year was 2021 was about 11,000.
We move on to the next question.
Now let's see what else we have later.
Yeah.
Marianne?
I have an inquiry for, it's page 16 of the 68. I'm under admin expenses. In the GL, it's 211 and 214 travel and training. To me, that seems kind of high. Not sure where everyone is going or what's being trained, but that has jumped significantly since 2022. It's the training has doubled and the travel has tripled. So I'm wondering if admin has an opportunity to trim in that area.
I have a feeling this is probably affected with, we had the interns, which was covered, did that be some of it in and out? No. And we had a couple going with grants. For part of it.
Sorry, which GLs we're talking about?
Admin expenses, 211 travel, 214 training. Page 16.
Thank you.
My comment is it does seem a bit high, especially now with our former CEO resigning. There would be maybe one less person attending current meetings or conferences.
Well. So the actuals were less. Do you want to, are you suggesting getting closer to what the actuals were? Instead of budgeting higher since they weren't used?
Meredith?
My suggestion is that admin could look at what they have captured in that amount and look at where they're traveling to for what they're training on. And if there is an opportunity to trim, come back to us with some trim. I don't want to limit them if there's things that they're attending and there's a reason to support that training. I don't want people to not be trained. I just want to make sure that that's not over budgeted.
Crystal?
Yeah, I'll just have to look because I know Dawn asked the departments what training that they wanted this, or not what they wanted, but what they were thinking of doing this year. Conferences, I'll have to have a look-see and then I can bring that back. I do know, yeah, like the travel will go. $13,000 budget will not be spent because due to no CAO in place, there won't be things to attend. And again.
So, Madam Mayor, I have about 6 more questions. Do you prefer that I email them or continue on in the time?
I think keep going. Let's go.
Is that okay?
We've got about an hour, so.
So still under admin expenses, and this might be just information. It's under page 68, 224. It's just a question. What is the municipal membership that we pay? And it appears again in the water under municipal memberships. Is that for the RMA, AUMA, or AM? Sorry, it's just knowledge. I'm not
Yeah.
trying to be combative of the
Just
cost.
give you a little idea.
And maybe other counselors had that question too.
So we have a 2020, I'll go back last year, LGA membership. North Saskatchewan Watershed Alliance, ADOA, Economic Developers, Utility Safety Partners, CLGM, Alberta Municipalities, EDA, Go East, HR downloads, which we no longer have, Adobe subscriptions, memberships, Northeast Alberta, Diligent Agenda Software, Altalis, FCM, GFOA, Zoom, Alberta's Lake Landing Annual Membership, Alberta Hub, Adobe Camo membership, AMDSP, NAGO membership.
Thank you.
Yeah.
It does, it all adds up, right?
Yeah, that's a
Thank you.
RMA, sorry, Canva.
Love Canada. So then my next question, if I may continue then.
Yes.
And thank you for answering them. I am concerned in the budget, so I'm now on page 18 of 68, under the bylaw expenses, we budgeted for a higher amount, and then I had an incident with the resident concerned with safety, and the former CEO said that we don't have a process in place if we were to touch animals, because we have no place to put them. I'm just wondering if we have any opportunity to take what you budgeted and maybe put out an RFD for a pound or a rescue, or are we close to signing our agreement with the county, or how can we best address that money being earmarked, and having a purpose for how we can manage that?
I do know the previous CAO was in discussion with the county in regard to the peace officer there and contracting that peace officer for needs that we need in the town. I think that's kind of where it was left at. Yeah.
Marianne?
My other concern is if maybe you could, when you have a spare moment, if you could see where we're at to move forward with a solution. My other concern is safety for our own staff. If we're telling Public Works that they have to do that, do they have the necessary equipment, training, and time? I don't want to put a bad solution in lieu of something that we should work towards, and to take that money that is allotted in the budget and see how the best possible solution can be arrived at. So it's maybe just a comment, and I see that you're writing down everything, Crystal, as a takeaway for yourself. And I think the solution is to get the county, to get that agreement in place. Safety of our residents is very important.
I do know that Dawn did send a template of the contract to the municipalities in the region, so I'll have to follow up to see if where that applies.
And yeah, so we might need more, right? If there's, who knows what that agreement's gonna look like financially. So I'm gonna move on to another question on page 19, under the Public Works expenses. And it could be just something that you might have to refresh me, and I apologize. For the GL 2-3201 510 road material. Didn't use what was allotted in 2024, we're under budget, but yet we're targeting $40,000. That's a lot of paving supplies, I would assume, or just a clarification on that amount, please. Should have thought of it well. John is here.
Crystal, sorry, go ahead.
I'll try to answer for John. I do know there was some switching around in GLs. The street sweeping was budgeted high in 2024, so we lowered that. And then he wanted the road material increased. I believe back alleys were part of that original budget discussions for additions to use some more gravel on the alleys. And we did this, it was in our first budget. Yes.
No.
I had the same question, but I remember us talking about it now that
He
you
kind
said
of
it.
moved it around. It wasn't anything extra. It was just he cleaned up his.
Yeah, I think he moved, instead of it just being in like general road material and the gravel and salt all went into the proper spot now. And I think that's what it was. It just was taken out of the general budget, hit Public Works general budget and put into like the actual correct spot. Cause I think we had the same question, cause it was like, why are you planning on putting a whole lot of salt down there?
Yeah, so then, as we're heading towards the final budget numbers, would that be an area that would be, reduced, or is he quite firm on them?
No.
I would be, it's a fair question to ask, to bring back, but I would hate to cut road material. Our back alleys have not been gravelled since I have been on council,
I thought that was the issue.
and
That
that
was
has
put in
been
there.
at least 7 years, so we're in need, like they've been resurfaced, but they haven't been. But it's a fair question for him to bring back for the next one, for sure.
And just moving on now to page 25 of the 68, and it's under the recreation GL. And again, not to be combative, but it's the GL that's Flower Power. It ends 225.
She's already on it.
Yeah, so I think it's a high amount and I'm not sure. There's an opportunity to trim, but Crystal?
From 2024 to 2025, there was an increase of 10,000 for the co-op trees, co-op bulk water project. There was trees from the development, I believe that was Pat. So there was $10,000 increase for cedar trees.
I thought we were looking at a grant for that. I think the previous CEO said there would be a grant. Perhaps.
In the trees were-
It was put in the budget, but obviously hoping to find a grant for it for sure. But if we don't, it's in there.
Or I need help with the grant too. And that was something that was from, or motion made, decided.
Almost finished with expenses. Thank you for clarifying for adding to that discussion. Page 27. And this is a difficult one. When I look at the solar expenses overall and what we're forecasting in terms of revenue versus what we have for the expenses, it seems that every year we're showing a bit of a loss, and we're 2024 we barely, well, we showed a loss. 2023 we barely broke even. So I'm looking at a whole the whole concept of the solar farm and its viability and sustainability. I know we're paying the debenture, but if we're keeping to put in money for repairs, how viable is this?
I remember this discussion with Dawn, and it was what it was valued, like what the solar, or what they're paying us has
Right.
gone down tremendously since what we were promised, or what we
The
were
rates. Yeah, I remember that.
So, yeah, so that's out of, that's a game, a waiting game, I guess. See if that'll change.
Yeah. The hard one, because
It is, but there's not a map.
No, I agree, but I think we should bring that back for a topic for discussion on the future of it for sure. Because, yeah, let's just, I think it has to be here, but I also think that I agree with you, and I think at a future meeting, we should have maybe a delegation from Dandelion or somebody to come in and yeah, have talk about it for sure. I understand where you're coming from. I feel very similar.
Crystal.
Are you referring to the solar?
So
Sure. Solar? Yeah, because I know administration did look into it, the electricity rates are very low at this time, and that's why we're not seeing the revenue generated. And then when solar panels break, they're repaired. It's expensive, the debenture is still there. But
At some point. And
that concludes my questions. If I was to recap what part of it was to lead to how we started the discussion. We have the increases to the education, the policing requisition, and I think I don't know how we're gonna afford everything, and thank goodness administration has done a wonderful job, but I still stand firm on the belief that there is opportunities to trim on the expenses part. I wouldn't want to increase our mill rate or have the taxes revenue come down as well. I'd like to see where we could come back and have any money that would be in surplus go to a reserve.
I was gonna just say the exact same thing. So you're looking at whatever we remove, making a reserve spot.
With the premise of
Yeah.
that, if we had some money that we could forecast it into a general or restrictor, whatever administration gives us direction to say. Yeah, to say that this is what our due diligence is presenting the 2025 draft budget and looking at going into the final stages for approval. That would be the rationale of why I wanted the last year's numbers. So with purpose and not to give admin more work. You know, if I don't want to give you a percentage by which to come back to, but if we were going back to what was presented February 13th in the taxes and keeping that higher amount and then lowering our expenses by even 2%, we would have a healthy reserve of over $100,000. And that might be what council decides is the best for the town at this time. I'm only one person and I don't want to make it more difficult in the process. That's my suggestion and my rationale behind it.
Crystal?
With that last number that they did.
Yeah.
Yeah. Is there any more things to look at that anybody wants questions or brought back for review at the next budget meeting? Just for clarity or anything, if not, I was just gonna go ahead and make the motion for administration to bring back to the next budget meeting with the changes. I did not write them down.
I've got them written and. Sorry, go on.
Sorry, my wheels are spinning. I'm just thinking ahead to the administration travel and training. Do I budget anything for the contractor? That's,
Sorry, under the training and
travel
I
for
don't
administration.
I don't think so.
No,
No, because they're under contract, and while they're under contract, unless, I'm gonna say we're gonna make that part of the contract, is that, no, they're not going to go anywhere.
thank you.
We're not gonna pay for them to go anywhere while they're under contract. That's a benefit of full-time employment.
Well,
Then are we comfortable if I make the motion to accept for information the draft budget and for administration to bring back with the changes as discussed? The proposed changes as discussed to a future budget meeting? Which
What are
we
they?
are very close to, I think they might be able to be presented same day as council meeting. Changes, I'm just gonna say, bring back cuts to the expense as we talked,
Okay, so
just cuts to expenses.
like promotions, street. And possibly public works, so get them, those are the only ones that were
Cuts.
cuts.
Yeah.
The rest were just clarifications, updates, and possibilities or something. Okay. Anything else with regarding the motion, any discussion? All in favor? Anyone opposed to carried? Okay, we will move on to public 3.4, public engagement for budget 2025. Mel,
Can I suggest that we defer this till after we do our budget?
Evelyn?
I would support that motion because I agree. If we can't exactly make a date when we don't have that.
Yeah, okay. I'll make that motion.
All in favor? Opposed to carried. 3.5 website and content and analytics. Mary Ellen?
So I'd like to move that the town of Smoky Lake accept for information the website analytics report from December 2024 to February 3rd, 2025 as presented.
Any questions regarding the reports? Mary Ellen?
Just more of a discussion. I think originally how this started, Melon and I had a conversation at a previous budget meeting. Would we be able to afford any website, a webmaster contract work? I think by the last motion to decrease expenses, the answer is no. My only concern is that our previous CAO recognized that staff were doing it from the side of their desk. I would hate to see that. How that work is divided is up to you, Crystal, but and now without the interim, but is it a fair question if I ask, is it in someone's job description to do this? So it's being managed, okay. So and there's updates that, okay. I think,
No, I agree. Communications is a part of the municipal clerk's position, and with training right now, it's coming along, but no, that is definitely a part of the position. And the website is a big major one with it, as well as social media.
All right, all in favor? None opposed, carried. 3.6, CN Station. Yeah.
okay, so I deferred this to this meeting, looking at an opportunity maybe to hire a contractor to create a business plan. I'm having second thoughts on that now, based on the motion was presented on January 27th. So I think that admin would have done some draft work to better prepare council to go into a workshop. So I think I'm leaning into option 2, but I'd like to, before I put a motion on the floor, I'd like to maybe suggest to Mayor Chunishi if you want to have a wider discussion or if you just want the motion.
Well,
Yeah, I struggled with this one after, like, it's been on my mind since I reviewed my agenda, because I'm having a hard time because I don't know what I don't know. And I'm not an expert in this field at all. And it's hard to make a plan when I don't know. So I have to say I can go to a workshop and I can throw ideas out. But is that the best idea for the town? Probably not. So I am struggling with this one. So I don't know if the Heritage Board would be willing, I don't know, maybe we could have a meeting with them, like the council and the Heritage Board. Maybe as a whole, to get some ideas. They have a little bit more idea, I think, than I do. And so I thought maybe if we could utilize some people with some knowledge in that department, just so that we can create a worthy plan.
Yeah, and thank you. And not to take away from what you're saying, it was at the Heritage Board chair at one time, because we did the tour and everything, and recognizing that it was a town building and an asset and a resource / the information center, the tourist information. So whatever we're going to do, we will not be ready for this season when the summer students come on board. So if we don't do anything, that's okay too. I think it's important to develop it, so both options are very good. There is, to speak on behalf of the business plan, admin has already started a draft based on January 27th, and they said at the last meeting, so they have some groundwork, and then there are the Economusée has a final activity report presented, and our former CEO would have that as well. So there is some data already accomplished, and we did the tour. Noreen, the chair of the Heritage Board, pointed out what should be done, and there's probably some opportunities for grants to get the upstairs insulated. So again, without going farther down a rabbit hole,
Well, I can support option 2 if we,
As long as those from the board that are part of it are there, right? To help with it.
Sure, I'll go ahead and make for everybody else. Make motion that the town of Smoky Lake set a strategic planning meeting for the CN station on a date to be determined to discuss council's vision for the CN station in order for administration to complete a business plan for the CN station as per motion 26, 2025.
Do we have a plan on when we want to make the meeting date? Okay. So how do we bring that back so that it's done?
we can just bring the date back to council meeting.
For the future. meeting.
Yeah.
All right, all in favor? And opposed or carried. 3.7, waste collection services. No,
I just have a question. Do we need to go into closed session to get an update?
Crystal?
I don't know if I'm fully prepared for this motion to provide an update. Since the last meeting was Monday and then this meeting got scheduled for this Monday. I do have a little bit of information. I don't think it's confidential. I did speak to Nathan. We did advise to. There's an ACP grant study out from Evergreen. Evelyn can correct me if I'm wrong. Which I just printed this morning. For professional services for regional service delivery waste management. And that is due this month. I still don't know what the end result will look like. As far as a contractor. For the Evergreen waste regarding collection. I don't have any recommendations at this time. I don't know if it'd be a good idea to have Nathan come and speak to it, or Evelyn can speak more on it.
Evan?
So we have a meeting here already on the 17th, unless it's you made that motion. Oh, we haven't made that motion yet, have we?
It's at the end.
We have not. It's
Okay, it's coming up?
Yeah.
Okay, all right. So, do you just need a little bit more time then? Because,
It was a quick turnaround for sure.
yeah, that's what you're saying. You're not,
Yeah.
this was added to the agenda before, because it took place before the last meeting. And then we had that discussion. So you haven't had any time to do this, so, and I know, yeah, I know it's So this is why I'm saying the next time that we're gonna meet is on the 17th. So unless we make that a special meeting in which no other agenda items can be added, do you wanna update us on the 17th? Will that give you enough time?
Probably won't be here for that meeting.
Oh, that's right too.
That's right, yeah.
Sorry. Okay. So, okay, well, just defer it to the next council meeting. Okay, I'll make that motion.
Just before we do that, I'm April 28th is when this is due, this contract. I guess my question is, does it have to be one or the other? Can we not go ahead with our renewal and still deal with this ACP grant from Evergreen after? Because does it affect it? Because otherwise, if it doesn't affect anything, I would like to go ahead and make the motion today. And so I guess my direct question is, will it affect it? If it does not, then I want to go ahead. Sorry?
So you're asking if admin has read the agreement? So this is,
But I think there's a lot of logistics that have to happen. And I am a feeling that it's going to be an addition to this, not a restructuring. Like, I don't think you even know that, and that's,
There's a lot of unknowns right now, I think.
I would feel comfortable with the recommendation.
I
No,
guess we could go on camera. For discussing contracts.
Marianne, I'll make the motion to move into closed session at 11:23 for FOIP,
I think it's
thanks to Carly.
17, right? Or
27 or privilege information or 17?
I think it's business.
Oh, sorry. Section 17, disclosure harmful to personal privacy.
a business, third-party business.
16.
Oh, sorry. Okay, so I moved to go into closed session at 11:23 for under FOIP section 16. Disclosure harmful to business interests of a third party.
All in favor? None opposed, so carried. Want to close session? Motion to get out of closed session.
I'll make that motion.
All in favor? None opposed? And no?
I'd like to make a motion for administration to bring back the waste collection services contract to our next regular council meeting.
All in favor? None opposed, so carried. And we will now move to 4.1, 2024 gas capital levy. Evan?
I'll make the motion that Town of Smoky Lake transfer the 2024 gas capital replacement levy in the amount of $43,919.55 to the restricted gas reserve account.
Okay, any discussion? Not all in favor? None opposed, so carried. 4.2, schedule regular council meeting. Mel?
I'd like to make the motion that the town of Smoky Lake schedule a regular council meeting for the purpose of CAO recruitment at the town of Smoky Lake Chambers on April 17th, 2025 at 3:30 p.m.
All in favor? None opposed, so carries. And we'll move to 5.2, STARS donation. And that was Marianne.
So I just had an inquiry to administration if you had received a request for a donation.
Crystal?
I don't know off the top of my head.
If I may, it was a wonderful event and all the volunteers. Say, for example, in the past, we had done work in lieu of with the printing and another at the event on Saturday and another municipality gave a donation, so I was curious as to maybe we had just donated and it wasn't announced.
It was in.
It was advertised on the screen, town logo, that they did do some printing for the event. But yeah, in the past too, the county does their big donation at the event. But yes, ours is more of an in-kind donation, but it was advertised at the event.
Thank you for clarifying, and thank you to all the volunteers that contributed. It was amazing. A motion to accept for verbal update and accept for other information.
All in favor? Not opposed or carried. And 5.3, supported center living, supported living center visit tour, sorry.
So, the county council has been, their part, they've been invited on to go to, this is one of the supportive centers, and it's supposed to be exactly, a very similar model to what's coming to Smoky Lake. And one thing when it comes to this supportive house, I actually see, I would like us, what I'm suggesting is that we reach out, and we should be a part of that as well. Simply because when it comes to housing, and especially when we're talking about an RFP that's been put out for this duplex, I would actually like to start talking to M&A about becoming the developer for that project, specifically when it ties to the supportive living center. So I see this as an opportunity for us not only to see it and have a better idea about it, because yet we can talk about it being the county project, but the truth is that it's a Smoky Lake region project, and it actually has a direct impact on us. Everything that we're talking about housing wise has to do with, we have an influx of 75 people that might be employed here that are going to affect the town. So I would really, I don't want it to keep us as separate entities. I want to become part of the discussion, and part of that discussion has directly to do with housing.
No?
I am agreeing with you. I think that for yes, housing reasons, but not just housing, it's gonna have a direct impact on our community already, or it already has. And we haven't had that option to be part of the discussion. It just went ahead. It wasn't talked to us at all. It is in our, I get it, it's in the county. We are the town that supports the county. And so the fact that we haven't been involved is disappointing. The fact that we don't have an invitation is disappointing to me. Also, it would change the fact that there's some negative talk around it. And maybe if we could support the county and the project by having that information to provide to our ratepayers, that would be beneficial. Whereas right now I have no idea what is going on. So the information wise, I think it's important, because how are we supposed to get it out when people talk to us? It's not like, oh, your town, that's in the county, nobody's talking to you. That's not what happens. So I highly support this, and I'm a little disappointed. I'm a little sad. I'm a little sad on how it started. We didn't get talked to, and now I'm sad that we're just not involved at all. So I don't know if we can reach out to the county administration to see if we can be involved in some of these discussions. It would be really appreciated so that we can support each other. Like,
Evelyn?
Thank you for supporting my assertiveness. That is what exactly I'm saying. We're not going to get the invite from them. So I'm asking probably that town of, I'm forming my motion now, but that town of Smoky Lake reach out to Smoky Lake County and administration and request an invite to join the county council on their site visit of the Supportive Living Center on April 29th.
No, Mary Ann?
And approve it as a council, sorry.
maybe
Shall we go ahead and make that motion right now then too, as a council approved event?
under that they accept our invitation to invite us. We'll just do,
Together.
So,
one motion's fine for that.
Yeah,
I think Mary Ann.
Mary Ann, you do.
No, thanks.
Okay, all in favor?
Okay.
Opposed or carried.
I'd like to make a motion to adjourn.
We don't make motions.
I know, but I never get to do it anymore.
Adjourned at 11:44.